What is up, everybody? Piscean X05 here to talk about advanced war mapping and global forecasting. Now, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, share the video if you will, share the channel. The description has everything you need to know about me for this channel. So, at least in regards to the channel. This is my master almanac for advanced war mapping and global forecasting for 2026 through 2027. This is an analysis and a methodological guide, as well as an advanced research curriculum. All right. So we'll begin with the forecast, which is global conflict mapping for 2026 through 2027. With our executive summary, the bridge year. So the astrological configurations of 2026 present a profound paradox. Intense pressure toward conflict coexisting with unprecedented opportunities for resolution. And the year functions as a bridge between the old world order and an emerging structure that will solidify in 2027 through 2028, mainly 2028. We're going to see it. Mass difference. Alright, so our key findings, you have the finding timeline and our confidence level. So we look at March 2026 and how it represents peak tension window. February 28th through March 15th, it's high. The Russia-Ukraine war continues but transforms full year. South Asia emerges as secondary hotspot, July and December. Primary battlefield shift to cyber information. Of course, this is ongoing. And genuine peace architecture becomes possible in late 2026. So, Section 1 is the celestial architecture of 2026. We can see here the Great Conjunction analysis, where we go over our configuration. It's approximately 19 planets and points occupying just 60 degrees of the sky in Aries by the spring equinox. In looking at this with our astrological significance, we see that Aries is the warrior, it's the pioneer, the one who acts without asking permission, just as the zodiac sign, like the archetype. So we also look at the fact that we have multiple conjunctions, compression of energy, forcing a release through action, and our historical parallel. The last similar concentration occurred during the war, Spanish Succession, in 1703. We look at our interpretation framework. While this configuration does not guarantee world war, as historical analysis demonstrates that previous world wars occurred under entirely different configurations. However, it indicates a hardening of aggressive postures and willingness to use military force as a primary diplomatic tool. All right. So our critical conjunction analysis, we look at our exact dates and our astrological meaning as well as our geopolitical application. So we know we had Saturn, Neptune, and Aries, ingress February 20th, 2026, and dissolved boundaries. Excuse me. This conjunction does dissolve boundaries between reality and illusion in military contexts, and this last occurred in 1703 with the information warfare, propaganda as a weapon, difficulty distinguishing genuine threats from manufactured ones. Chiron, Uranus, and Aries, February through March. We have wounded warrior archetype, grievance-driven conflict, asymmetric warfare, terrorism, conflicts driven by historical trauma. Mars, Pluto, and Aquarius, life, death, power struggles, violent ideological clashes, ideological wars, nuclear posturing, existential framing of conflicts. Now we already experienced this blood moon, and this is the trigger point analysis. We had our total lunar eclipse, March 3rd, the Leo Aquarius axis, Sun in Aquarius opposing the moon in Leo. visibility, Americas, Pacific, East Asia. And when I say this, we have to say this is the Vedic calculations. So our traditional interpretation, a red-hued moon has historically correlated with political upheaval and conflict. The 72-hour window preceding this eclipse, February 28th, represents a critical make-or-break period where diplomatic restraint could prevent escalation. This is our Medini astrology perspective, where this planetary configuration can bring major disruptions to topics tied to land, territories, and collective unrest. Regional applications, Iran-US theater. Mars in Aquarius squares Uranus and Taurus during this window, indicating sudden, unpredictable military actions. Cyber domain, we have Mercury retrograde. It suggests communication breakdowns, potential miscalculations, as well as maritime corridors, increased tensions in strategic waterways, Strait of Hormuz, South China Sea, and the Red Sea. All right, excuse me. So now we're going to get into regional theater analysis, starting with the Eastern European theater, Ukraine, Russia. Our primary source is the Georgian astrologer David Fikua, and he did an interview in December 2025 with his core prediction being the war in Ukraine will continue in 2026, Russia will continue missile strikes, the war does not stop. We look at our astrological basis, factor, duration, implication, Saturn in Aries. It hardens military strategies, it makes territorial concessions politically difficult. Neptune in Aries, onward, reinforces warmongering ideals, it stimulates competition for power demonstration. Mars, Pluto in early Aquarius, Russia-NATO tensions reach unprecedented levels. So this is our development timeline. Look at our first phase, which is March through June. Intensified missile campaigns and infrastructure targeting. The March 3rd eclipse correlates with a significant military operation or shift in declared objectives. As well as phase 2, we have July 2026, Jupiter in Leo, trine Neptune in Aries, creates a potential for a heroic figure to emerge claiming they can resolve the conflict. However, Jupiter opposite Pluto in Aquarius during the same period suggests deep opposition to any settlement. Phase 3 is November through March 2027. Uranus in Gemini trine Pluto in Aquarius opens genuine possibilities for negotiated outcomes. There will likely be more resolutions, proposals, and negotiations than actual stabilization, but a truly solid foundation will be laid for peace in 2027. Ukrainian statehood assessment. Despite continued conflict, Ukrainian statehood will not be endangered in 2026. Ukraine will exist. Forward. We have Middle Eastern theater, Iran, Israel, US triangle. So we know February 23rd Mars entry into Aquarius combined with the March 3rd blood moon created a volatile configuration that astrologers warned would correlate with conflicts and violence and major disruptions of topics tied to land, territories, and collective unrest. Our key astrological markers, we look at the marker position and the military implication. So Mars in Aquarius, onward, unconventional warfare, cyber operations, drone warfare, space-based assets. Rahu, the north node of the moon, that influences and intensifies unpredictability and strategic deception. The Leo Aquarius eclipse axis, sovereignty, Iran's nuclear program versus collective security, international response. We have our development pathways, so our scenario, our astrological trigger, and our probability indicators. So conventional strike, Mars square Uranus, heightened military alertness, maritime corridor disruptions, cyber asymmetric Mercury Saturn, conjunction in Aquarius, digital infrastructure attacks, satellite interference, diplomatic breakthrough, Saturn sextile Pluto, possible prospects for peace, potential negotiations that could have positive outcomes. In our nuclear risk assessment, the configuration suggests risk not of nuclear strikes directly, but of cyber sabotage of nuclear facilities or radiation-related incidents. Security experts emphasize that diplomatic channels remain operational. South Asian theater, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan complex, primary source being Astronaut official, March 2026 warning regarding July and December activations. The critical dates being July 4th, Mars-Uranus conjunction. So Mars is conjunct Uranus, and it brings a geographic focus. Uzbekistan, areas west of Karachi and Kabul, and we interpret it as the energies during a conjunction. They're going to be quite similar, like very volatile. It's going to hit Central Asia. And our military implication is sudden, unexpected military movements, technology-enabled warfare, drone warfare escalation. And we have December 5th, Mars-Uranus square. Their geographic focus near Karachi, Pakistan, Afghanistan, potentially extending to India. The current status, they're already going at it. We've seen in the news it's already happening. All I'm saying is it's going to culminate around this date. Evolving nature, Uranus will be in Gemini, so the flavor of the tensions may change to more technology or information-based conflicts. It might not only be military. India's position in global context. Madini astrology identifies India's national chart, Taurus ascendant, experiencing this Mercury transit in the 10th house of governance and action. This placement suggests India could emerge as a global digital mediator with frameworks like UPI, gaining international acceptance. The Indian youth's rapid adoption of AI-based education positions the nation as a technology leader during this information age conflict phase. Section 3 is the shifting battlefield, war in the information age, and we look at the transformation of warfare. So a consistent theme across multiple astrological analysis is the transformation of warfare itself, a war of terabytes, not tanks. Uranus and Gemini, so the flavor of the tensions may change to more technology or information-based conflicts. The concept of WW3 is outdated for the air age. The coming conflict will look more like a contagion of spirit and ideas. Key domains of conflict. Cyberspace, Mercury, Saturn, and Aquarius, critical infrastructure attacks, data warfare, ransomware as weapon. Space assets, Aquarius, ruling satellites, satellite interference, space debris risks, anti-satellite weapons. Information space, Mercury retrograde patterns, deep fakes, AI-generated propaganda, information chaos, cognitive warfare. Economic warfare, market volatility indicators, energy corridor disruptions, safe haven asset shifts, and digital currency wars. AI battlefield, Uranus and Gemini, autonomous weapons, AI targeted information operations, algorithmic warfare. The economic battlefield. So astrological projections indicate that conflict in 2026 will have immediate economic consequences. Oil prices, sharp increases during tension windows, Mars and Aries, square Uranus and Taurus, energy resources, gold, safe haven, demand increases, uncertainty configurations, Saturn, Neptune dissolving trust, equity markets, extreme volatility, Mercury retrograde patterns, multiple eclipse points, banking CBDC announcements accelerate, Uranus and Gemini, digital transformation, trining Pluto, systemic change. Supply chains, targeted disruptions, Mars-Uranus aspects affecting specific corridors. Let's look at section 4, which is the peace architecture and timing the opportunity. So we have our critical peace windows this month. We have Saturn sextile Pluto, possible prospects for peace in the various regions at war, or at least potential negotiations that could have positive outcomes. Uranus trine Pluto, November this year. This aspect could bring about real change, and truly solid foundation will be laid for a moment of peace and balance in 2027, even if it could last until 2029. Saturn in Aries. While Saturn in Aries hardens strategies, it also prevents escalation by teaching restraint. Historical analysis shows that Saturn in Aries has consistently acted as a brake on world war escalation. The dual timeline paradox. 2026 presents two simultaneous trajectories. Look at our timeline, characteristics, and manifestation. So war timeline, Mars, Pluto, Neptune, and Aries, Saturn, Neptune dissolution, active conflict, hardening positions, miscalculation risks. Revelation timeline, thinning veil, Saturn, Neptune dissolving certainty, minor grand trine, UFO disclosure, ancient history revelations, spiritual renaissance. These are not separate futures, but intertwined realities. And the same Saturn-Neptune conjunction that dissolves boundaries between nations also dissolves boundaries between worlds. All right, regional summary tables with our conflict theater forecasts. Theater quarter 1 of 2026, quarter 2, 2026, quarter 3, Q4, and then on to 2027 as an outlook. So, Ukraine, Russia peak intensity, we had a March trigger, it's continued attrition, infrastructure focus, possible negotiation failures, serious talks begin, stabilization framework. Iran, Israel, US, March crisis window, cyber intelligence phase escalation, diplomatic back channels active, implementation discussions, contain tension, new protocols. India, Pakistan monitoring phase, preparatory movement, signaling July peak, conventional risk, December peak, into warfare, new normal established. Global cyber information chaos, critical infrastructure attacks, AI warfare emergence, systemic shifts, permanent transformation, as well as maritime corridors, heightened alert, targeted disruptions, piracy, asymmetric threats, escalation or resolution, new security framework. For critical dates, we already experienced this lingering total lunar eclipse, blood moon, global Middle East, March 10th through the 15th, post-eclipse planetary alignments, July 4th, Mars-Uranus conjunction, Central Asia, July 2026, Jupiter and Leo trine Neptune, Jupiter opposite Pluto. It's going to be global. November, Uranus trine Pluto. This is global opportunity. December 5th, we have Mars-Uranus square, South Asia being critical. In early 2027, we have a post-peak consolidation, all theaters stabilizing. All right. Now we look at our methodology, which is a complete guide to advanced astrological forecasting. All right. So foundations of forecasting. What is astrological forecasting? Well, astrological forecasting is the systematic analysis of planetary configurations to identify tendencies, patterns, and probabilities in human affairs. It rests on several key principles. The principle, definition, application. We see correspondence as above, so below. Celestial patterns reflect terrestrial patterns. Tendency, not determinism. Planets incline, they do not compel. Forecasts identify probabilities, not certainties. Cyclicality, history repeats in recognizable patterns. Past configurations inform future expectations. Synchronization, multiple techniques converge on same periods. Confidence increases with methodological convergence. All right. Now this is the forecasting mindset. Before any technical work, the forecaster must cultivate 5 things: being epistemic, humility, acknowledge that forecasts are probabilistic, not certain, multiple working hypothesis, never rely on a single technique or interpretation, historical grounding, study how similar configurations manifested in the past, ethical responsibility, forecasts affect human decisions and emotions, continuous revision, update as new information and transits unfold. All right. The Forecaster's Toolkit, essential software and resources. We look at the tool, the purpose, and recommendations of professional software, chart calculation, transits, progressions, there's Solar Fire, Sirius, AstroGold, specialized forecasting, zodiacal releasing, primary directions, Delphic Oracle, Morinus Free, ephemeris planetary position data, JPL Horizons, Swiss ephemeris, astrocartography, geographic mapping of planetary lines, there's AstroClick Travel, AstroMap, data sources, birth data for nations, events, Astro Databank, Wikipedia verified, sky simulation, Archeo astronomical, verification, Stellarium, free. All right, so look at our essential reference works. We've talked about this, the Tetrabiblos for Hellenistic foundational principles, the anthologies by Vitios Valens for Hellenistic predictive techniques and case studies, the Great Introduction by Abu Mashar on Arabic conjunctions, historical cycles, Christian Astrology by William Lilly on Renaissance horary and mundane astrology, Al-Biruni's Book of Instruction on Arabic calculation methods, and Rob Hand's Whole Sign Houses, Modern House System Methodology. Now here's a step-by-step in forecasting methodology. We start with step 1, which is establishing the foundation and identifying the primary configurations. So we begin by surveying the sky for the most significant patterns with the configuration type, what to look for, and significance. Slow-moving conjunctions, Saturn-Neptune, Jupiter-Saturn, Pluto transits, generational shifts, era-defining themes, eclipses, solar, lunar eclipse series, trigger points, amplification windows, Ingress is planets entering new signs, shift in expression of planetary energy. Stations, planets turning direct, retrograde, intensification, turning points, and grand patterns being T-squares, grand trines, stelliums. These are complex multi-factor influences. And we look at an example from 2026 forecasts. Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries, primarily generational configuration. March 3rd, blood moon, trigger point, multiple planets concentrating in Aries, stellium effect. All right. Now we assess relative strength. So not all configurations are equally significant. We weigh them by duration, longer lasting, equaling more fundamental. Precision, exact aspects stronger than wide orbs. Repetition, multiple configurations pointing to the same theme. Historical precedent, similar past configurations. Step 2 is to assign theaters and topics. Mundane house system. So for global forecasting, we must assign houses to geographic regions and topics. Now there are multiple systems. Traditional regional assignments from Lilly and medieval sources that are important note at the bottom here. These assignments are traditional and should be supplemented with modern geopolitical knowledge and national charts. So the house, region, traditional, modern adaptation. So first, England, Germany, Poland, Western Europe, Anglosphere. Second is Turkey, Greece, Asia, Minor, Eastern Mediterranean, Levant. Third, Arabia, Syria, Palestine, Middle East, Gulf states. Fourth, Jerusalem, Armenia, Persia, Iran, Caucasus, Central Asia. Fifth is Italy, France, Switzerland, Southern Europe, Vatican. Sixth is Iraq, Babylon, Mesopotamia, parts of Syria. Seventh is Egypt, Libya, North Africa, Nile Valley. Eighth is France, again, Croatia, Balkans, Adriatica. Ninth is Spain, Portugal, Morocco, Iberia, Northwest Africa. 10th is Russia, Poland, Hungary, Eastern Europe, Russia. Our 11th is England, Scandinavia, Northern Europe, Scandinavia. And our 12th is India, Persia, Arabia Felix, South Asia, Arabian Peninsula. Now, our national chart analysis. For each theater, we identify the national chart with the nation, independent state, ascendant, approximate, and ruling planet. So the United States was July 4th, 1776. We have Gemini, Mercury. Russia, June 12th, 1990, varies by source, multiple. Ukraine, varies by source. India, August 15th, 1947. Taurus, Venus. And then Israel varies, as well as Iran. So we apply transits to national charts. For each critical transit, we calculate its application to national charts. This is an example. So Mars-Uranus conjunction, July 4th, affecting nations with strong Aries-Uranus placements. Geographic focus identified through astrocartography lines. Historical conflict patterns in affected regions. And step 3 is to layer multiple predictive techniques. Transits, the most common method, is the technique, description, and application. So current transits where planets are now, short-term forecasting days, weeks. Transits to national charts, current planets aspecting national planets, medium-term, weeks, months. Progress charts, symbolic movement of national chart, long-term, years. Primary directions, the most powerful technique for fateful turning points. Calculate the directions of national ascendant and midheaven to planetary aspects. And how to calculate it? Well, we can use a software like Morinus or Solar Fire. Direction equals 1 degree of motion equals approximately 1 year of life, and apply to the national chart for regime changes, major events, or whatever you want. So, moving on to zodiacal releasing from Vitius Valens, which is a Hellenistic Time Lord technique that reveals periods of life and death for nations. Well, how do we calculate it? We release from the lot of fortune, material conditions, and the lot of spirit, national purpose. We calculate the periods and subperiods, and we apply it to the current year. Oh, something in my nose. Oh my gosh. Yo, I'm live on Meet Me. Paul's in here. How's work going? I'm working over here, 24 minutes in. All right. For Daria, Persian periods, or for Daria, it's planetary periods of varying lengths that activate specific themes. Aren't you off at 7 today? My buddy. My sweet baby boy. If you guys have seen my old videos where I'm wearing a hoodie and it's black and it says Poolworks on it, shout out to Paul. That's Paul's hoodie. And unfortunately, I no longer have it, but I've done videos with that hoodie. My hair was like way shorter. I like just cut it. You know what's really funny? I'm pretty sure there's a Poolworks in like St. Cloud, Minnesota. I'm pretty sure I saw one that's like way out there. It's like 30 minutes from me, maybe 40. But I swear I saw one. So you doing anything after work? Off at 5? That's real soon. So how do we calculate for Daria? Sorry guys, I got distracted by my friend on live. It's cool. So we calculated life divided into periods ruled by specific planets. The length varies by sect, being the day or night of the national chart, as well as the current period indicating dominant national theme. And now we look at the solar and lunar returns. I'm almost finished with this video actually, because I didn't finish step 4. But 3.5 solar and lunar returns. Return type calculation application, solar return chart for the moment. Sun returns to its natal position. Theme for the year ahead, and we look at the lunar return, which is the monthly moon return, and short-term fluctuations. In ingress charts, Sun's entry into Aries is spring equinox, and that's the global theme for the year. I'll catch you guys in this next portion of this video. It'll be like I never left because I'm just going to merge the videos. 3, 2, 1. Boosh.